This comes to us from James, our political guy out in Nebraska, I believe. He's a openly atheist legislator in Nebraska.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
And he says, on March 28th, this one came in a couple of weeks ago, you uploaded a critique concerning Ken Ham's misnamed Answers News shows. That's funny. Misnamed Answer News. Where they were critiquing a paper concerning signals from alien civilizations, which if we received them, sending civilization would likely be dead already.
Oh, yeah.
And he said,
so ridiculous. Yeah.
Pulling out my pedantic hat, Felicia noted that the chances would be incredibly low for us to receive a signal at all. Considering the length of time that humanity has existed, roughly 150 to 200,000 years, a civilization would have had to existed at the precise time based on their location and sent the signal for us to receive the signal during that time that humanity existed. It gets even worse than that. He's not calling out you specifically.
No, I was listening. He was nothing he said is.
I just want to make sure
if I was genuinely incorrect about something, I'm because facts matter. No, he's
fascinating. He knows this shit.
He listened to what I said, and he's saying, I don't want to be pedantic. And I'm like, oh, please, be pedantic. You're clearly hearing what I said.
It gets worse than that. During the time that humanity existed is not good enough. It has to be the time that we have been technologically capable of receiving a
damn
signal.
good point. That's a damn good point, which is...
And interpreting what that signal might mean. Heinrich Hertz only discovered radio waves in 1888. And even then, radio waves were thought to have no practical application because they were thought to be short range. It was only when Guglielmo Marconi invented a practical means to send and receive radio waves over great distances in 1894. The long distance was an accident. He still thought that the manner that Hertz that radio waves were short-wave phenomena or short-range phenomena because the ionosphere had not been discovered yet. And even then, he says, radio transmissions and receptions was primitive by today's standards because of spark gap transmitters. They could not be able to detect a modulated signal. Spark gap transmitters could only transmit Morse code, or Morse, and the coherer receivers were not equally primitive at the time, only able to receive on-off signal as in Morse code. It was not until the 20s that radios resembling modern radio appeared, allowing the detection of amplitude modulated. And he says in 35, FM radio became the thing. And in the late 30s, amateur radios, ham radios, it was slow to be received by the public, only surpassing AM radio in the number of transmitters in 1978.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So assuming an alien civilization used something resembling Morse code, we could have only received and potentially interpreted this after 1894. By amplitude modulation in the 20s, frequency modulation in the 30s, and other sorts of modulation later. This means that the window to receive and interpret an alien signal, even if someone was attempting to do that, would have to be less than 130 years.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
That civilization would have had
so small. Yeah.
Would have to have met that very narrow window for us to have any chance. And that assumes such civilizations didn't use some other method of distance communication, such as masers or lasers, or some form we have not yet discovered. And he says, /pedant. So I hope I didn't lose you. He said this was pesky electronics training in the Navy, plus a radio amateur and radio telephone license will do that to you.
Yeah. No, it was wonderful. I loved that. That was great. I got chills, actually. That was wonderful. Thank you.
Of course, to Answers in Genesis, it would only be patently impossible. No aliens in the Bible, though they could still spin that if aliens were found. The universe is only 6,000 years old, after all.
Like the only 6,000, the more you think about it, the more insane it is. And this exact thing, just if we did not even talk about evolution, but just this, radio waves, and how that functions, like this makes the idea of a 6,000-year-old universe even utterly absurd to the point of like you couldn't satirize how bad it was. A parody of itself. It was beautiful. It was wonderful. Thank you. I really enjoyed it. I learned a little bit, so that was really nice.
Now we had another one from him that we'll save for another time because he had a letter to the editor in the Nebraska Star-Herald where he clap back at it, and it's really interesting. We'll discuss that one on a later episode, but anyway, I just wanted to share that fun thing about radio and how there's some super smart listeners out there that just go, Ken Ham, fuck you.
That was really awesome.